Hello, I'm Georgia Shakti-Hill, and I'm so pleased to welcome you to Living in Balance. Part of living in balance is having healthy habits, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today with one of my nutritional advisors. We'll talk about the stages of our life and what happens at infancy. What do we need to know up through the time that we're elderly? So come join us. Kevin Talmadge is my nutritional advisor at the local health food store, and I'm so pleased to have him with us today. He is an expert in the field, has studied it for 18 years. His background was as an aviator, which is really exciting. So that means you have to be pretty bright. You were a jet pilot in the Marines.
I like to think so. Yes,
And then martial arts is also a major part of your life.
Yes.
Okay. But for the last 10 years, you have been a retailer in the health food industry, and that is what is your passion. That's what you love?
It is.
Okay. Well, yesterday I went shopping at your store, and you are an advisor. You really are, because we could walk from one item to another, and you could say, well, yes, if you want this, this is what we'd recommend. This is what we'd recommend. But you also said that you didn't feel that you wanted people to just rush in and buy everything, just have a good health foundation.
Correct. My philosophy, I think, has evolved over the years. There's a tendency, especially in the health food industry and really nationwide, where people lean towards magic bullet approaches to health. If I have a symptom, I'll fix it with this. And so they go item by item, hoping to recover their health, when in most cases what they really need is just a firm foundation of health practices. And there are a few supplemental things you can do along the way, but food is really what it's all about.
It really is, and we're going to talk about that, because we have to start with that foundation, and it's interesting though, there are little things like the one gal was just talking about her baby who had the ear infection, yes, and she used a capsule of garlic, yes, and immediately the baby was better, and you said, sure, that works because it's antibacterial.
Absolutely.
And you also like tincture of lobelia? Tincture
of lobelia, we've used that personally with our children, yes.
Yeah. So there is a time when we do want to, and we can treat ourselves.
Absolutely.
And I like health from a preventive perspective.
Yes. Most people will find that if they follow a firm foundational regimen of health practices, first of all, they're not going to get sick, and they're not going to create conditions of dis-ease on such a repeated basis. But if they do have that happen to them in their lives or people that they love, they can take care of it naturally without the need for intrusive medical procedures.
Yes. Well, we do have a clip from the store from yesterday, and I thought if we can go to that. We started out, and I said, you know, I really want to see the organic foods for starters, because like you're talking about, we do need to have the food as the basis, and we're much more apt to have a healthy response to organically grown food?
Absolutely. I can't even overstress the importance of growing and eating food the way it's meant to be grown and eaten. The modern practices of agriculture are robbing us of nutrients, they're robbing us of our health, and maybe even inflicting conditions upon us that we did not have existing before in history.
And that is scary. Well, here we're looking at those foods that, you know, and there's an aliveness to the fruits and the vegetables, and knowing that they have been organically grown, it really makes me feel better. Now, as I look too, you have a section right there in front of this couple when they're shopping for pets, because we also have to think of our little ones, our little beings who give us so much love, and we appreciate them so much. Spices from all over the world. And we're also going to pan right here into some of the environmental products for our homes, where we can be cleaning and using things that...
Absolutely. This is one of the areas I think that's most unrecognized with people, is how we literally poison our environment, yeah, as we're cleaning.
Now here's you giving me some advice, and I had made up my little list, which is a good idea when yes, because there's so many things that, because you do have like groceries too, and I wanted to find some of those things that I could include in my cooking, my baking, and so forth. Now here we left off with a little baby food, and what I wanted you to do today was talk about the stages of our life. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about what do we need to be aware of, starting at infancy. And so if we go through those, we have in the stages of our lives, from the very beginning, you said you have two little ones, and that they're going to be like a product of a healthy start from the beginning, all organically grown? And
No question. The biggest thing that I stress with people is that lifetime health and wellness begins in the womb. It's all about what the mother does during pregnancy that sets the tone. And then, of course, once the child is born, everything that we do or don't do is going to influence how they're going to be well or not well through the rest of their life.
so what about the baby? What should we be thinking about when we're talking about the infant? What should parents be most aware of, most careful about?
First off, the fact that since they're very small and very delicate, their immune systems are immature and very susceptible to problems, and also they would be much more likely to exhibit problems from chemical exposure, inadvertent chemical exposure through the foods or through food colorings or things that might be in the food that we feed them. Much more rapid response to it than an adult would have because of the lower body weight.
Okay, so that is the big deal. That
Yes.
really is. And you know, recently I did read that only 10% of most diseases are genetic, and
Right.
90% is environmental.
Right, and even the genetic ones, it's all about how the genes express themselves, and this is in large part environmentally determined also.
I want to take us to our teenagers now. And as the children are growing, what is the difference there? What should you be doing? What should you be doing for your kids when they're like in preteen and in the teen years?
I think the biggest thing to keep a watch for is that, first of all, they're not going to be home for regular meals like they would be when they're younger. You have less control over their diet, so it's extremely important to get nutritionally dense foods into them when you've got them there.
What's
Get them while you
nutritionally
can.
dense? What would you say?
Organically grown food has been shown in many studies to be up to 4 to 5 times more nutritious by weight, the same pepper or the same head of broccoli. So organically grown food is obviously something we stress, but getting those food groups into them, fresh fruits and vegetables, get the servings into them while you've got them at home. If you allow your teenagers to eat junk at home, you know they're not going to go out and eat healthy. They're eating McDonald's, they're eating Burger King. This is what people do.
But feed them well when you can,
Absolutely.
when you're in control.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned pregnancy, and as you're preparing for pregnancy or during pregnancy, it is hugely important, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The woman's nutritional requirements skyrocket during pregnancy. This is something most people know. Very particular attention needs to be paid to fatty acid intake during pregnancy. Calcium people know, iron people know, these are things that people know, and women naturally will develop a hunger for foods. But fatty acids is something that may be missing in the diet, and this is so crucial to neural and brain development for the child. Most people don't get it in their diets, and so therefore the woman would not have enough to pass on to the child.
Okay, what are the best sources of fatty acids?
In our modern diet, probably the best source right now would be flax oil or fish oil. I tend to lean towards flax oil because we have got a guaranteed purity. You can get it organically grown, and it's impossible to find an organically grown fish.
Okay, and so are you recommending from infancy through the teen years and in pregnancy that there are supplements we should be taking?
Absolutely,
okay.
absolutely. There are many nutritional requirements that, owing to the fast pace of modern life, we just do not have the time to get everything into us that we need to get into us.
Okay. Now, the next stage that I wanted to talk about is what I'm referring to as the power time. And that's when we're working and we're, focused on career out there, stressed, maybe 10 hours a day, maybe 12 hours a day, maybe 7 days a week.
Yes, there's no question. The things that I emphasize with people during this power time, enough protein intake. I can't overstate the importance of that. It keeps us mentally alert. It keeps our bodies healthy, it keeps our tissues regenerating, and it slows the process of tissue breakdown, which starts earlier than we'd like to believe it starts. Then the other thing that I tell people is that there are very definite steps that they can take, both lifestyle-based and also herbally, to curb the levels of stress. There are various hormones and stress chemicals that we secrete when we're going, taking care of children, taking care of family, and we can ameliorate the effects of that. And again, this saves us during our later years from the damage that can occur during this time when we might not be paying enough attention to ourselves.
What about the sources of protein? You have organically grown meat?
Yes, yes.
I mean, organically fed
It's
animals.
actually available now,
Okay,
yes.
right.
They have it's a big movement now. People are scared to death with what's out there in the meat market.
Oh, yeah.
If a person chooses to eat meat, they can get clean sources of it where the animals have been raised in a more humane fashion. The animals have been treated with no hormones, no antibiotics. They've not been mistreated. And interestingly enough, most people don't realize the animals secrete the same stress hormones when they're abused. Modern animal raising techniques, I'm talking about the factory farms, the animals are stressed, and we just eat that stressed meat.
Yeah. And so, but if you are a vegetarian, you have to, like soy-based products will help as far as that protein.
Yes,
that
you've
we
got to
need.
work a little harder, not too much harder, and not nearly as hard as people think. Mixing your foods becomes really crucial there, getting plenty of different food groups, beans, rice, that sort of thing. Soy is a wonderful supplement, as well as protein. It provides many other constituents that are beneficial in many ways. You can add protein powders if you need to.
Now, what about what I call the wise woman era? That's when maybe menopause has occurred. Is that, do you no longer need to take a supplement with iron? Is that one of the things? What's the difference there?
At some point in a woman's life, iron ceases to become an important part of their regimen. When they're no longer losing blood, of course, this is the obvious time when iron is no longer lost. It is recycled continuously, and it is shown that an overabundance of iron, which is easy to accumulate in later years, is destructive rather than productive.
Mm-hmm. And calcium, we have to.
Yes, can't overemphasize that. Most women need it, although in cultures where they eat plenty of green leafy vegetables throughout their lifetimes, they find that the need for calcium supplementation in later years is diminished. So this is something women can take steps early in life to avoid problems later in life.
So it is, we start at that very early baby stage, and there is something for us to know all the way down the line.
Firm foundation always is what it's all about.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break, and we haven't left out the elderly. We're going to come back to them because we all get to be that if we're lucky, right?
No going back from that.
No, but one last thing I wanted to show is both you and I absolutely love our Phyllis Balch, and I know she shopped at your store as I do, and this is her latest book, and we both use this as the nutritional Bible, as they say.
Great reference for people to use.
We have other references too, so if you'll stay tuned, we will be right back with more of Healthy Habits. And if you are just joining us, I'm Georgia Shakti-Hill. Our subject is healthy habits, and our health advisor today is Kevin Talmadge. And we were going through the stages of our lives, and we got up to the elderly. Now, when we talk about the elderly, like my mama, we want her to last, and she's just over 80. And what should I be aware of with her health?
Well, first off, that there's a lot that you can do to further your health and wellness. In fairness, I should note that most people don't come into my store saying, Kev, tell me how to set a firm foundation for health my entire life. They come in saying, I didn't. Help. There's a lot of nutritional things that people can do. The fats and the oils that I talked about, enzymes to further digestion, calcium to strengthen the bones. There's many good books that are available in health food stores on proper modes of exercise, to keep the tissues limber.
And as we had mentioned before, martial arts is your love, and you are also an instructor in martial arts. So that's part of your balance.
Correct.
Yes. Well, we want to go through those fats for life, and you said let's talk about those. And what about fat for life? Now, we don't want to be fat for life, do we? What are we talking about, Kevin?
Intentional misnomer. When I tell people you need fat, they look at me like I've got a third eye or something. Well, the problem is that we get plenty of fat, but not the right time, not the right types. It's important to get a balance between the various types of fatty acids because our body utilizes all the types of fatty acids to function our glandular health, our nervous health, our brain health, our skin elasticity, our joint elasticity, digestion and elimination. All these are factored in with proper balances of fatty acids.
Now, I've been told that olive oil is like the golden oil as far as cooking.
Yes.
It's wonderful. There's controversy over canola. Do you have any insights on the canola oil?
I do not. I've heard good and bad about canola oil. My belief with regards to oils is that none of them should be used for high heat cooking. None of them should be used in excess of the ones that you need for nutritional purposes. Olive oil has tremendous nutritional benefits for people. Canola oil does not have much in the way of nutritional benefits. So I minimize my intake.
And as far as sources of some of the seafood, for example, because I do eat seafood. I'm a pesco vegetarian, as they call it. But salmon is supposed to be wonderful, and tuna as far as the fats in those.
No question. If you can find a good source for them, they're wonderful sources of the deep water fish oils. The big worry nowadays is farm raising of fish, which is a massive industry because the fisheries are depleted. Unfortunately, they farm raise fish in much the same way they farm raise chickens and cows. Hormones, antibiotics, pesticide runoffs from land. So there is a worry that people may be thinking of farm-raised fish as a clean product when it may not be.
See, that's the scary part. Yeah, and you have a favorite book here too, Diet for a New America.
Yes.
And there's a message in that too.
It was a revolutionary work in its time, written 20 some odd years ago. John Robbins detailed how our food choices affect us not only in health, but also our environment, which affects our health.
Yeah. You mentioned enzymes, and you brought this book and Enzyme Essentials. That's another thing we need to talk about. This book on enzyme therapy, this is one of your favorites.
Absolutely. It details how enzymes work, and people may not be aware of this. We have digestive enzymes, we have metabolic enzymes. If we secrete digestive enzymes, we use up our metabolic enzymes. The only way to get more enzymes is through fresh, raw food. Most of us don't eat fresh, raw food. I eat my food cooked. I'm sure most people do, or at least the greatest percentage of their food. So we could actually wind up by age 30 or 40 lacking enzymes, using them up for digestion, and then people experience indigestion when they run out. But also, before that, they'll run out of metabolic enzymes, their cellular processes, their brain processes. All of these will be impaired.
Okay, so if we add a lot of vegetables and fruits to our diet and we eat them raw, and in fact they recommend like 80%, like you say, most
Correct.
people don't eat
Not even
80%
close.
raw
Not even close, yeah.
and 20%
I'm the
cooked.
health guy. I'm not even close to that.
The health guy. And so we need a supplement here.
Yes.
Okay.
The enzymes, you can get what's called plant-based enzymes. And the plant-based enzymes, you take them before you eat instead of after. And what this does is it lets your body take it easy on secreting your metabolic enzymes into digestive enzymes. And you save them. Save them for a rainy day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we can replenish.
Correct.
Even if we have depleted ourselves. And some of the CoQ8, the CoQ10, are those enzymes that are kind of like popular right now?
Yes, they're coenzymes. Of course, our body will secrete them naturally. At some point, owing to various reasons, sickness, illness, stress, your body will not secrete enough of them. This is the situation where someone says, okay, I have not been taking care of my health foundation. Can you help me? We can help. Or I say the industry can help. You can take supplements and get yourself back into balance, always achieving balance, but sometimes supplements are necessary to get you where you want to go.
Okay. You want to talk about bacteria basics. What do you mean here? What are we talking about?
The good ones, the friendly bacteria are helpful. People don't realize our intestinal microflora, as they call it in gastric terms, is our first line of defense, basically, against foodborne pathogens, fungus, bacteria, virals that come in through our digestive tract. The food bacteria are helpful. They can be depleted again through stress, through illness, through antibiotic usage, and our body would not have the friendly bacteria available to protect us against the unfriendly pathogens. The unfriendly bacteria can repopulate our entire digestive tract and lead to severe digestive impairment and malabsorption of foods.
And what do you recommend here?
In days past, we used to get plenty of probiotic foods, fermented sauerkrauts type of thing, yogurt, kefirs. These were all naturally sourdough bread is a natural way to get probiotics. They used to exist in the soil. Nowadays, we're pretty much left with either eating those foods, purposely going out and shopping for those foods, or you can take it in supplement form.
And that acidophilus is what is the key thing in yogurt, for example. And
Yes.
I know I've always been told if you have to take an antibiotic, make sure that at the same time you are taking like an acidophilus or having yogurt or something like that.
Absolutely. And more now the term is moving towards probiotic because acidophilus is only one or two strains of all the different beneficial strains available for us that naturally reside in our intestinal
So
tract.
probiotic is the bigger term for
Yes.
all of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lets people know that there's more out there than just the acidophilus.
Okay. Now, the big subject is healing ourselves and our world.
Yes.
And we are connected, are we not?
No question. No question. The biggest thing that I find myself stressing for people is that, first off, the Hippocratic Oath for doctors is do no harm. I think we should follow the same advice for ourselves. Eating foods that are poisoned, that have poison sprayed on them, that are grown in an unfriendly fashion to the environment, does us no good. It doesn't make sense. We need to correct that, I think, as a species. So it's a much bigger issue than just individual health, although eating organic foods is probably one of the biggest determiners of our health or disease, as the case may be.
And you know, it's interesting, if you ask your regular retailer, you know, at your food store, if you say, well, would you get this organic? Oh yeah, I can get those, I can get those, I can get those. Now they may not get them,
Right.
but you always have. The health food stores, you were ahead of, you're on the edge right
Way ahead
there.
of the curve. It's still a very small segment of the produce business, but it's growing about 10 times faster than the conventional produce business.
And the
People are after
prices
it.
then are becoming more reasonable because for a while it was like it was going to be twice as much. And as I was looking through your store, there's very little difference with the
Very
average
little
retail.
difference. At the most, you'll find about a 20% difference now, and in many cases, you'll find the price is actually lower in organic because it's grown in season.
Yes. Now, you also brought in the book Genetically Engineered Foods. Now, this is a very scary topic,
Yes.
and you have some perspectives on that.
Absolutely. It's a major issue, I think, confronting us, one of the most major issues. We're going to make the decision whether to release organisms into the environment that we've engineered, and we don't know what the effect is going to be. So again, in terms of overstating the problem, you really can't. It could be potentially one of the biggest disasters agriculturally ever wrought on the earth.
And one of the things, for example, is a tomato that has the flounder fish
Yes.
gene added to it so that it won't freeze.
Right.
And that's weird. I'd rather not have a tomato with fish in it. Although I might want to eat flounder,
Right.
I don't want them in combination. And we don't know. There are some other things too, and I know like some of the corn, they say there's very few corn products anywhere now that we can buy. And also what was scary is even soy, which
Yes.
I think of as being one of those health foods in quotes.
Yes. And the problem is that the whole issue of genetically modified food snuck up on everyone. They introduced it into the food supply without letting anyone know, essentially changing the ingredients. There is a huge public outcry now. People are writing their Congress people, and I encourage everyone to address this issue when they speak out to their political leader in their area. The nice thing is that there's some headway being made. The tomatoes you mentioned, the last I heard, they were being taken off the market. This is one product where they have found food allergies. People were allergic to tomato because of the fish. So you have allergies introduced into the system where people had no idea that they were eating fish. They thought they were eating a tomato.
Yes. Oh, so we also, you brought us some really good products here, and there are a lot of good things, but we need to be knowledgeable, and that's where you said, like, you will be the advisor, but then you want the people who come to you, your clients, then to do their own research and find out about their own personal health.
Absolutely. I feel if I have a calling, that's it, is to help to lead people in the right direction. I'm not a doctor, I'm not the know-it-all, but I do feel like I can guide people in the right direction because I've stepped there myself.
Yes, and you could have been the jet pilot still, but you decided this was your passion instead, and we're so pleased that you have chosen
It's got
that.
its excitements, not quite the same, but it does have its thrills, yes.
Yes, it does. And you have two healthy little babies, little ones.
I couldn't be luckier.
Yes. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
If you would like to, and I tell you, he's always on the phone answering questions. If you would like to be in touch with Kevin, stay tuned, and we'll let you know how. Also with us, and then we have some parting thoughts. And so, developing healthy habits. What a wonderful idea. And you can start right now. If you did not in infancy, if you were not a teenager who was eating organically grown food, it's not too late. Whatever point you are in your life is a time where you then can determine that it's time to live in balance in mind, body, and spirit. And one of those things that you can do that is through your nutrition. Become knowledgeable, become aware, study it, and know that it is such an essential part of your life. Any stage of your life, go for healthy habits. And till next time, I'm Georgia Shakti-Hill, and I hope that you will maybe do a little bit of research. Perhaps there's something that you can find for yourself, whether it is fat for life, or it is the essential enzymes, or those friendly bacteria. But first of all, look at yourself, healing yourself, and then you can heal the world.